Okay, hello and welcome to my Unicum guide for consumables in World of Tanks. This is episode 2 of How to Be a Unicum, the show where a shitty permablue teaches you how not to be a shitty permablue. Alright, so consumables are things that you will use throughout the battle of World of Tanks to your advantage. You can have a maximum of 3 consumables for any vehicle in the game, and they can be found and changed in your service menu, which is found at the bottom of your garage screen, or you can access them by clicking here. Okay, so here we are in the service menu. This is where you put the consumables on your tank. Now the first thing you should do if you have a new tank is check this little box here that says resupply automatically. What this will do is when the battle is finished and you've used your consumables, this will just rebuy them for you and put them back on your tank as you had them before, so you don't need to go and fiddle back in this menu after every single battle. Okay, so when you click on these slots here, you will get a list of all the consumables that you can place on that tank. You can only use one consumable of each type, so you can't have double even though you have 3 slots. Alright, so starting at the top, we have the repair kit. This is the large repair kit. It repairs all of your damaged or destroyed modules. It also gives you a 10% to the speed of module repairs, so that kind of works like your repair crew skill. If your track is down and destroyed, it will repair 10% faster when this is just placed on your tank, not when you're using it. So this will fix all of your modules that you have destroyed, everything, whereas the small repair kit will only fix one. These are both one-time use modules. The small repair kit costs 3,000 credits, the large repair kit costs 20,000 credits. Alright, so I'm just going to use a training room to demonstrate some points about the consumables and show how they work. So here I get tracked, my tank is tracked, and I can use the repair kit to put it back up before my crew finishes repairing it, and you're free to drive away. So you can also see here where I have my consumables binded to. So I use this slot for my repair kits, and I have it as E, so when I'm playing the game with my WASD keys, I can just use my pointer finger and push it from the D to the E, so I can do it really, really quickly, and then I can choose what module to repair. And then I've got the the first aid kit on the R, so I can also just jump to the R really quickly without it disrupting my gameplay too much. So that's my bindings, and then the fire extinguisher, if I had to use it, is on the 6. I used to have a manual fire extinguisher on the space, but since they introduced the handbrake, I just don't use manual fire extinguishers anymore. Alright, so that was the small repair kit, and as you can see, it only fixed the track. Now, what if we have more than one module damaged? So in this case, we have 4 modules damaged, and it doesn't matter if they're destroyed or damaged, it'll just repair them anyway. But we've got 4 damaged here, so we can just go and press E, and it'll fix all of them. We don't need to select them, because it just fixes everything. But the problem with the large repair kit, which makes it kind of inconvenient, because you're paying those extra 17,000 credits for the small repair kit, is that in a game you don't usually have your modules destroyed at the same time. So for example, if you have your track destroyed at the very beginning of the game and you want to repair it so you're not getting shot in the open, you can retreat, you don't want to like necessarily waste your repair kit, but on the other hand you'll die if you don't. So you use it, but then later in the game your other modules get destroyed, so your gun gets knocked out, but then you don't have your large repair kit because you already used it. So it's only useful if you're getting those modules destroyed at the same time, which can happen, but it's just, I usually just run with the small repair kit because it's not always useful. But if I'm going into like some competitive play like Clan Wars, or if I wanted to really try hard, I would run the large repair kit. Okay, so on to the first aid kit. The first aid kit is just like the repair kit, except it affects the crew members and not the modules. So the large first aid kit, that will give you 15% protection for the crew from injuries, and if you use it, it will heal all of your injured crew and they'll be back in order. The small first aid kit is just like the small repair kit, and it can only fix 1, and these are both one-time use. Alright, so with that shot, enemy tank just knocked out our gunner. So we've got our small first aid kit, and we can, with our click of our R key, and then we can select the gunner, and he's back, and he's healed, he's no longer injured, and he's performing just as if he were never knocked out in the first place. Okay, so as you can see, we just had 3 of our crew members knocked out, but luckily this time we have the large first aid kit. So when we click our key, or whatever key you bind it to, they are all back and just performing as if they had never been injured in the first place. Now the problem with the large first aid kit, just like the large repair kit, is that you usually don't have your crew members knocked out at the same time during the battle. So if you have your driver injured at the very beginning of the battle, you're not going to just wait around for another crew member to be injured so you can get the most out of the consumable. You're going to repair your driver instantly. So that's why I almost never run, well, I literally never have ran a large first aid kit except for clan wars and things like that. So I always just go with the small one, because usually just one crew member getting knocked out at a time. But it is useful in some situations. Sometimes it'll come in handy, but most of the time you can just get away with running the small first aid kit and the small repair kit. Alright, so moving down, we have extra combat rations. Now this will give you a 10% bonus to all crew skills and perks for the entire duration of the battle. So this basically just makes your tank function better. It gives you better gun handling, better reload, makes you slightly more mobile, better track traverse, things like that. Gives you better camo, gives you better spotting ability. So it's just like an all-around buffer. It's just kind of like vents, except it's 10% instead of 5%. So it's really quite powerful. Okay, so this is the automatic fire extinguisher. Gives you a 10% reduction in the chance of fire, and once you are set on fire, it will automatically and instantly, well, almost instantly, put it out. It is one-time use, and it is 20,000 credits. There's the manual fire extinguisher, which is 3,000 credits, and you will have to press one of your keys to activate it to put out the fire. And it does not give you a reduction in fire chance. Alright, so here's the example for the manual fire extinguisher. Now we just got set on fire here, and our manual fire extinguisher is binded to the 6 key, so to put out the fire we have to click on the 6. And since we were slow to do that, all of these modules here got destroyed and we lost tons of hit points, so that's why the automatic fire extinguisher is very useful to have. Alright, so we're going to be set on fire, and it's out, so that's why the automatic fire extinguisher is really useful, because the fire was hardly going and it was already out as soon as we even noticed. So much better than the manual fire extinguisher. Kind of makes the manual fire extinguisher really useless when you can do that. Unless you don't want to spend the credits and you've got a quick reaction time on a key, then I guess it's okay. Alright, now we have some nation-specific consumables. So for the USSR vehicles, we've got Lend-Lease Oil and the removed Speed Governor. Now, these ones are completely useless. This gives 5% engine power. It's just completely pointless. It will make you a little faster. But there's just all these other consumables that I talked about previously are just so much more valuable than having this, that you will never ever put this on a tank. I have never once, in my 13,000 battles of this game, I've never once used Lend-Lease Oil or Removed Speed Governor. They're just a complete joke, and they're completely pointless for any sort of play. Other nations will have different variants of this. The French don't appear to have anything. The British will have octane gasoline. It's basically, if the consumable talks about engine power and it's some sort of special fuel or something to do with the engine or traverse, it's just pointless. Just don't waste your time with it. Get something that's actually useful and see what the Americans think. Yeah, the Americans also have the gasoline, just like the British. The Germans, they don't even seem to have anything. So it's just a completely pointless module. Don't even think about it. Just completely forget about it. All the other modules are so much more useful that you will never use the joke that is special oil or removed speed governor. Okay, I'm just going to talk about consumable setups and how you should apply the consumables to your tank. So, see, we just got a new tank here, Fe2 and 5B, and I want to put consumables on it. We're just going to click on it here. Consumables, we have 3 slots. my first one I'm always going to put in is a small repair kit. Doesn't matter what order, doesn't change anything, it's just based on your hotkey preferences and what you're going to bind your keys to in the control section. So, small repair kit, always going to be first, then we're going to go with a small first aid kit. I've just gone with the small ones because I don't really care. I don't really need the big ones. The big ones, if I'm going super tryhard or something, or my tank is always losing multiple crew members or multiple ones at the same time. But it's usually these will do the job just fine. And last slot. So the last slot, you're either going to put a fire extinguisher, or just always just go with an automatic. That's what I do. You can go with a manual as well, or you're going to run the food. But what we're going to do here is we're going to look at our tank. Now, we have one slot left because these ones are very important. I don't really want to get rid of them. So one slot left. But our tank here, we notice it has a engine mount in the front. So that means this tank is going to get set on fire when shot in the front. And tanks tend to get shot in the front quite a lot when you're fighting in a heavy. So I don't really want to go without a fire extinguisher. So that's why we're gonna opt out of putting into the food. And we're going to put on the automatic fire extinguisher. We're going to not want to pay gold for it, because you can select to pay gold instead of 20,000 credits, but that's completely pointless. So there we go. That's what we got the setup for this tank, and we're going to resupply that automatically. Alright, so let's do another one. Here we have the Conqueror. This is the tank that comes right before the one that we just did. Instantly we can notice that the engine is not mounted in the front, it's going to be in the back. Just we can see that based on how the tank is built here. So the engine's going to be in the back, so we can probably afford to change our setup to include the food, the pudding and tea in this case. So it's the same thing, except I'm going to risk not putting on the automatic fire extinguisher and replacing it with the food. So the food is just going to make my tank better, and I want that. And there are going to be games where it's going to set on fire and it's going to suck, but I feel like it's going to be balanced out by the extra performance we get. So this isn't really necessary. You don't need to do this. If you don't want to spend the 20,000 credits every single battle, because the pudding and tea, it'll cost you 20,000 credits every single battle, it's perfectly fine. You can just put the fire extinguisher on and your tank. This is still a perfectly good setup for this tank. But those are the only two setups I would put on this tank. Just repair, first aid. You can do small or big, whatever you like. I just always go with a small. And then you're probably going to go with the fire extinguisher, but I like to take the food on this tank, because this tank isn't going to set on fire that often, and it doesn't have the engine in the front. Okay, so we've basically established that you're always going to go with a repair kit and first aid kit, and then it's either going to be a fire extinguisher or food. Now there are a few exceptions to this that can still be a good consumable setup. So say you have a tank here, in this case it's the 140, and on the 140, it has the rear-mounted engine, except this tank gets set on fire so much. It has fuel tanks in the front, so you will get set on fire from the front. So you can't afford not to run the fire extinguisher on the 140, in my opinion. But what if you also want to run food? Now, you need this, so you have two choices of what to swap out. Repair kit. Your repair kit is just so common. It's very important in little tanks. Like, you're getting modules knocked out. The crew is not as common to get knocked out, so you can go like this. This is what you can do. You can take the food and the fire extinguisher and the repair kit and get rid of your med kit. However, you do get crew knocked out, so usually when you will do this, you will have a crew skill on the commander called Jack of all trades, and this will enable the commander to master every qualification and replace knocked out crew members. So when you have Jack of all trades, this is a good setup to have on a tank like a 140 that gets set on fire a lot, but you still want to run the food. However, I don't have that crew skill, so I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna stick with the small first aid kit. So that's gonna be my setup for the 140 there. In conclusion, when you're setting up, you're gonna take the repair kit, the first aid kit. You can ask yourself, do you need the large one? Do you need the large one? If the answer is yes, sure, take it, why not? You're going to be spending more credits, and it's going to be, most of the time, it's going to be doing the exact same job. Then for your third final slot, you're going to say, does this tank get set on fire a lot? And if the answer is yes, just go with the fire extinguisher. If the answer is no, it doesn't get set on fire all that much, do you want to spend those extra 20,000 credits every game and get that extra performance boost? then you're going to go with the food. That's basically how you're going to set up every single tank. It's pretty simple. Repair, first aid, fire, or maybe food. Okay, now I'll just go through some consumable setups that I think are pretty useless. So, double repair kit, not really necessary. Don't do it. Putting gasoline or anything to do with the engine or traverse speed on any tank in the game, terrible. Also, manual fire extinguisher, just don't do it. Don't bother with it. Spend the extra credits. And finally, the worst consumable setup is not putting any consumables on your tank. I did this for my first 5,000 battles when I was a super puppy, and I thought it was cheating to have consumables. Don't be like me. Don't be a super puppy. Put the consumables on there and figure out how to use them. Bind your keys, and you'll have a much better day. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was How to Be Unicum Episode 2. I will catch you guys later. Until next time. Bye-bye.